Cool. Am I supposed to say good?
What's he saying?
Testing.
You made everyone quiet. You killed the party.
Dang it.
Where is Harker?
Free flow. We're waiting on a team.
What did she say?
If everybody could start taking their seats, thank you. We're going to begin shortly.
Should I start or wait for that?
Wait for them to write it down.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the final round of Varsity Public Forum at the 39th Annual Laird Lewis Invitational Tournament. This final round is between the team of Aneesh, Chona, and Anuj Sharma from Harker School in California on the con, and the team of Rishi Narula and Joey Walter from Ridge High School in New Jersey, speaking first on the pro. This debate is debating the resolution or speaking second, sorry, on the pro. Oops. So this debate is about the resolution resolved. The costs of a college education outweigh the benefits. So at the leisure of the judges, who?
Your judges for this final round are Will Willis from Bob Jones Academy of South Carolina, Jay Stubbs from Bel Air High School of Texas, David Watkins of Southside High School in South Carolina, Mike Washer of Lake Highland Preparatory School in Florida, Mike Vigers of Trinity Preparatory School in Florida. Before we begin, I would like to ask everyone to please silence their cell phones, beepers, or anything that makes noise. Thank you and good luck to both competitors.
Opponents ready? This is working? All right. All 5 judges? Aneesh? We negate. Contention 1 is economic growth. Subpoint A, individual benefits. Han-Ming Fang of Yale University finds that through effectively preparing students for the labor market, college education enhances attendees' productivity by 40%. As an investment in human capital, college education benefits individuals in 2 ways. The first is higher employment and wages. Anthony Carnevale of Georgetown University notes that on average, a college graduate is 4 times less likely to be unemployed and makes 84% more than a high school graduate, or $1.6 million in a lifetime. Second, according to Enrico Moretti of UC Berkeley, college education even increases wages for non-graduates. A 1% increase in the share of college-educated workers raises high school dropouts' wages by 2.2% and high school graduates' wages by 1.3%. This is because jobs are rarely performed in isolation. Workers exchange knowledge, cooperate to solve problems, and learn from each other. Subpoint B, macroeconomic benefits. Aaron Leck of the Israel Institute of Technology explains higher education investment directly affects the economic performance of countries by producing highly skilled productive workers. In fact, Carnevale notes that because of the necessary productivity increases, by 2018, 63% of all jobs will require college. The macroeconomic benefits cannot be understated. An analysis by Jason Abel of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York across 290 metropolitan areas, which account for 85% of GDP, found that a 1 percentage point increase in the proportion of residents with a college degree is associated with a 2% increase in metropolitan GDP per capita. While a case study of Oklahoma by Frederick Trays of the University of Pennsylvania concluded that an initial investment of $1 in higher education yields $27 of long-term economic activity. Subpoint C, STEM. College education promotes technological growth through science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM. Carnevale explains by 2018, 92% of STEM jobs will require college degrees due to required specialized knowledge. The benefit is that STEM jobs are key to economic growth. The U.S. Department of Labor Statistics finds that because STEM growth creates technological advancement that benefits all sectors of our economy, investment of STEM accounts for half of economic growth. Contention 2, social mobility. According to Paul Atwell, for thousands of underprivileged students, a college education is the first step up the ladder of social mobility. Cecilia Rouse of Princeton University notes that there are substantial opportunities for lower-income individuals, with tuition at 4-year public colleges at $2,500, and that for 2-year colleges often being free. Bruce Weaver of Oregon State University quantifies that an additional year of education reduces poverty risk by 39%. Contention 3, societal benefits. Subpoint A, crime. College education reduces crime in 2 ways. First, it reduces the probability of committing crime. Dana Mitra of Pennsylvania State University explains the main reasons that well-educated people are less likely to engage in crime are related to their employment status. Enrico Moretti notes a 1-year increase in the average years of schooling reduces murder and assault rates, for example, by 30%. Second, college education of prison inmates reduces recidivism. As the Institute for Higher Education Policy notes, a large proportion of prisons offer post-secondary education. These programs are massively successful. In fact, a comprehensive study by the Bureau of Justice Statistics found that an average prisoner is 750% more likely to commit additional crimes once released than one who receives a bachelor's degree while in prison. Subpoint B, health. Robert Wood of the Johnson Foundation notes average health literacy, the degree to which individuals have the capacity to obtain, process, and understand basic health information and services needed to make appropriate health decisions, increases with educational attainment. Moreover, college-educated individuals are better able to navigate medical bureaucracy. The overall impact is twofold. First, the American Human Development Project finds that college graduates live on average 7 years longer. Second, increased health through college education results in monetary gains. Wood concludes if adult Americans who have not completed college experience the better health of college graduates, the resulting improvements would translate into potential gains estimated at more than $1 trillion annually. Thus, because college education benefits our economy, promotes social mobility, and benefits society on the whole, we see no other option but to negate.
Opponents ready? Opponents ready? Judges ready? We affirm resolve. The cost of a college education outweighs the benefits. First, we note that a college education is singular, and due to the infinite number of possible permutations, the debate should focus on an individual basis in the context of the average student. Thus, pro does not have to negate the very existence of college, but rather prove that in the status quo, the cost of a single college education outweighs the benefits. This framework outweighs because college exists to provide for its customers or students, and because individual decisions regarding college attendance subsume societal impacts. Contention 1, barriers to success. Subpoint A, unmanageable costs. The College Board reports that average inclusive costs of $28,130 for four-year public colleges out of state and $336,000 for students at four-year private college universities with an average graduation time of 5.2 years. Because of these insurmountable costs of the average American, the Project on Student Debt calculates that even when excluding for-profit colleges, the average debt for the class of 2011 was $27,000 or $34,000 if parent loans are factored in. Mark Hernowitz, publisher of FindAid.org, furthers that about half of these students will be still paying their loans in 20 years. This creates two negative impacts. Impact 1, defaults. According to the Department of Education, 8.8% of students default on their loans within 2 years, completely eliminating the future benefits from the equation. With an expanded time frame, the defaults rate potentially increase up to 5 times higher, proving how job attainment post-graduation cannot dependably account for the costs incurred during college. Furthermore, these defaults inevitably lower one's credit score, which is crucial in today's debate, with Heidi Feigel's of Employment Practices Solution reporting that approximately 60% of employers use credit histories in some portion of their hiring decisions. Thus, the cost of a college degree act as a barrier to the sole avenue for attaining its benefits. Impact 2, long-term lifestyle damages. Tamar Lewin of the New York Times found that 63% of borrowers fall behind on their payments, harming students' ability to borrow for a car or house, get married, start a family, or save for children's education. Ann Tucker of the Wall Street Journal elucidates 44% of college graduates said that they delayed buying a home because of their student loans, while 28% delayed having children. Subpoint B, preparation for college. ACT College Readiness Benchmark dictates 75% of ACT-tested high school students are not educationally prepared to succeed in entry-level college courses, yet around 70% of high school graduates attend college. Because of this, as well as the aforementioned monetary costs, the American Council on Education Rates notes that 6-year graduation rates for BA students have fallen to 56%. For community colleges, poor support network results in a terrible 28% graduation rate, according to the State of Young American Organization. Contention 2, college does not guarantee an ideal outcome. First, malemployment. The Bureau of Labor Statistics notes that approximately 60% of the current increase in the number of college graduates work in low-skilled job occupations where many participants only have high school diplomas and often even less. Second, difficulty of high-paying majors. Richard Aram of NYU found that math and science students study on average 3 hours more per week than their counterparts, funneling them into less difficult degrees. In fact, UCLA's Higher Education Institute quantifies that only 36% of whites, 21% of blacks, and 22% of Latino undergraduates in science, technology, engineering, and math fields actually finish their BA in the STEM fields. Even after graduation, B. Lindsay Lowell of Georgetown University calculates that only 1/3 of science and engineering graduates take their jobs in these fields. By combining all these outcomes, the National Humanities Center concludes that only 34.5% of people who enroll in a BA program will enter a job that actually requires a college degree, and that about 8 out of 9 of these advanced job holders will end up in non-STEM fields, where workers are expected to earn $25 less annually. Contention 3, opportunity cost. First, James Rosenbaum of Northwestern University notes that attending college sacrifices years of potential work experience in positions that don't require a college degree, as well as apprenticeship learning opportunities. Those with low high school GPAs who earn an AA will typically earn 7.2% less than high school graduates with no college degree. Second, economist Al Lee of PayScale notes that the return on investment that results from investing in the S&P was higher than the rate of investment from investing in a college degree at 84% of the institutions that were studied. Thank you, and because inevitable costs outweigh implausible benefits, we urge a pro ballot.
Is everyone ready? Do you mind if I have the first question?
Yes. No.
What's worse, underemployment or unemployment?
Unemployment.
So if we show you that college education reduces unemployment,
That's
will that
not
outweigh?
true. That
No,
it does
if-
not reduce unemployment.
In the case that we
though.
do show you that college education reduces unemployment, will that outweigh your underemployment claims?
Sure.
Okay. Do you have a question for me?
Yes. Okay. So you talk about recidivism in the crimes
Yeah.
in prisons, right? How many
Yeah.
people actually get this education?
Well, it's about 1 in 10 of every prison inmates, and we show
Well,
you
that's not
specifically.
true.
that-
Sorry, the New York Times
I mean,
specifically says it's
Are
only.
you just going to
1.4
answer your own question?
All right, go ahead.
Would you allow me to explain? We show you specifically that the majority of prisons actually offer these, so the opportunity exists. So the cost of a college education, specifically in prison,
but
don't outweigh the benefits.
The problem is that 30% of these people are there for lifetime sentences. You're not really quantifying how many people benefit from this. Like theoretically, yes, they could benefit, and it only reaches like 1%
Well, we're showing
of
you
the people.
specifically that 1 in
Well,
10. 1 in 10 prisoners actually receive this sort of education.
And how many prisons do they
additionally,
study?
Well,
Because-
that's on the whole in prisons across the United States.
I don't think
and
that's true,
additionally,
because
that's a
the New York
reduction in
Times says that
recidivism
that's-
because they're seeing more employment opportunities. I have a question for
All
you.
right, go ahead.
What is society made up of?
Individuals.
So if we benefit society, we are benefiting the individuals who go to college.
No.
Why not?
Because
but society is made up of individuals,
The way we
right?
structured our framework was saying that college exists as a provider for an education, and students are a customer to that education.
What do you
So
mean
we-
they exist as a provider
I
for the
mean,
customer? Don't they exist because to benefit
To-
society?
No, to benefit the students who study there.
Well, why can't they exist to benefit society and the
I'm not
students who
saying,
don't
I'm not
study
saying they
there?
don't benefit society. I said
Okay.
we should prioritize singular people,
Okay, but if
individuals
we
first.
benefit society, let's go back to my original question.
Sure.
If we benefit society, does that mean we benefit all individuals in
Wait,
society?
no. The resolution asks us whether the cost of a college education outweighs its
yeah.
benefits. So we have to primarily look at what college exists
Does
for.
it say the cost of a college education to that specific individual outweigh
mean,
the
it's
benefits
a college
or in
education,
general?
right?
Because insofar as the resolution does not specify whether we should be looking to the individual or society,
No,
you're
it-
always going to be preferring
the
society.
resolution says
because
a
by
college
preferring
education.
one second, by preferring society, you're not only looking to the impacts on the individuals who go to college, which is what you're saying we should do, but also you're
Look.
looking to the externalities on other people, which is going to be a broader and more educational
I'm saying
debate.
college exists as a source for providing for individuals.
Who says it
primarily.
exists specifically
all right,
for
Can
that?
we keep on moving?
I mean, no,
Can we
this is
move
really
on?
important today's debate in terms of how
Alright.
we should evaluate. Who says that it exists solely to benefit the
I did
person
not
who
say
goes to
solely. I
college?
said it should be prioritized. Okay, can we address another
Yeah,
issue
go
this
ahead.
round? All right, so you talk about how you have an increase in crime rates,
Decrease in crime
a
rates. to
decrease
college
in crime
education.
rates, right?
Yeah.
So could you explain how they found that number?
Well, they specifically count for other variables, and they compare people who go to college, areas with people who go to college at higher rates versus areas with people who don't go to college at higher
Is
rates.
that why
And that
white is that
specifically
why
says-
white collar crimes have increased?
I mean, white collar crimes, even though
And hurt
if
more
that's
people
occurred,
too?
violent crime outweighs because it directly affects human life.
Opponents ready? Can everyone hear me? Okay. Partner ready? And my 5 judges, I'll be starting on framework. Judges, remember that you're going to be preferring impacts to society over impacts to the individual. The reason you're going to prefer our framework is because when we look to society, society is made up of every individual in that society. So therefore, our framework includes all the people who are going to college as well as everybody else in that society. Now, also, we're going to see that all the impacts of society are going to have bigger impacts in terms of, because if every impact that we have to society is also going to have an impact to every individual in that specific society. So you're going to prefer all those impacts so you can evaluate the true costs and the true benefits of college education. They never give you a warrant for why we have to only look to students and people going to college, so you have to look to all of society on the whole. But now let's answer their case specifically. In my opponent's first contention, they try and talk about barriers and try and talk about how college is too expensive and then try and lead to student debt impacts. First of all, as an observation, when they try and get to their default rate, it's not even the majority of students defaulting on their loans. So all you can see right there, the majority of college graduates aren't defaulting on their loans. That's still going to be a reason to vote for us. But more specifically, college is actually not too expensive. In fact, college is affordable and on average doesn't even cost that much money. According to Cecilia Roos of Princeton University, they find that the average in-state cigarette price at a public four-year college is $8,240, but the amount that students actually pay is on average only $2,500. And when looking to community colleges, find that more often than not, the actual cost of college is actually free. So at that point, at the point where it's actually free, you're going to see there's actually no cost of college. You're not going to be taking a student loan if there is no tuition in the first place. Now let's look to student debt specifically. First of all, you can actually turn this against my opponents because it's better to have a job and have some debt than have absolutely no job at all. Extend the stat we give you in our case, which tells you that if you don't go to college, you're 4 times more likely to be unemployed. Again, it's better to have a job in the first place. But next, if you want to weigh the costs and benefits, the benefits are always going to be outweighing. According to Georgetown University, they find that the average value of a college degree compared to a high school diploma is about $1.6 million additional earnings, while the average student loan is only $24,000. At that point, $1.6 million is always going to be outweighing $24,000. That's still going to be, again, a reason to vote for us. Now, more specifically, when we look at default rates in terms of society, you're still going to be voting for us because according to the presidential fiscal year 2011 budget, they find that the recovery rate on student loans with defaults is 122%. The reason they actually make more money when they default on the loans is because they increase interest rates, which means that we're actually making more money if there's going to be a default. You can turn this against my opponents. The final response is going to be that according specifically to the Congressional Budget Office, Obama just implemented a new initiative which is going to recover $1 trillion of this debt by 2017. They have absolutely no impact stemming off of this. Now let's go to their next intention, their next subpoint where they talk about people aren't prepared for college. First of all, you're going to see that remedial courses in college are going to solve for this impact, so it's not, there's not going to be a huge impact coming off of this. But second, this is a problem of high school. This isn't a problem of college education. More specifically, cross-apply the study we give you at the top of our case, which tells you that college specifically increases your productivity by 40%. That's still going to be a net benefit. But if you don't buy any of the responses I just gave you, you can also turn to Catherine Will of NPR, which finds that even if there aren't these gains that they're talking about, there's still gains in terms of communication skills, which is necessary for all of your jobs. So that's still going to be a net benefit to college. Now let's go to their next contention where they talk about underemployment. First, even if college graduates are underemployed, it's still a benefit because they earn higher wages. According to the New York Times, as well as Anthony Carnevale of Georgetown University, employers want workers with college-level skill sets and are willing to pay extra to get them. So people with degrees, even if they're underemployed, still get higher wages. That's a reason to vote for us. Also, you're going to extend the fact that it's better to be employed, even if you're underemployed, than have absolutely no job at all. Again, extend the four times statistic. But finally, looking at Georgetown University, it finds that by 2018, demand is going to outpace supply by 300,000 jobs a year, meaning that this isn't even going to be an issue. And on net, it's going to be best to go to college now because you will be employed in the future with no underemployment harms. Next, my opponents try and talk about specifically what they look to subpoint B about opportunity costs, and they compare to high school graduates. The number one response here is going to be, again, the 4-time statistic, because none of these opportunity costs occur if the high school graduates don't have jobs in the first place. We see specifically that if you don't go to college, again, you're 4 times more likely to be unemployed, so they can't compare the opportunity costs. If you want to look to apprenticeships, you're also still going to turn to college because according to the PR Newswire, they find that career colleges also offer vocational training, but also a degree, and they actually are net more beneficial to society. In fact, they find that, quote, the first comprehensive study of the size and economic impact of a career college finds that the career colleges generate $38.6 billion in annual economic impact. At that point, you can get on-the-job training as well as college in career colleges. That's, again, a reason to vote for us. Turn this against my opponents. There is no opportunity cost.
Thank you. Everyone ready? Opponents? opponents. Let's first start off with some observations concerning the round. I have two observations. First of all, we're not negating the very existence of college, but rather saying that in the status quo, an additional college education for the individual itself actually outweighs. And that leads to my second observation, which is my opponent in the first crossfire actually had reverse causality. We are not saying that because society is good, it must benefit the individual. We're instead saying that because individual decisions determine socioeconomic impacts, like on the large scale, you must require individual impacts to be the prerequisite here. That is completely different. That's why you're going to be voting for us. Let's look to their first contention. They talk about economic growth. And now their entire thing that they talk about here is like predicated on the fact that actually human value is going to be increasing and that actually the intelligence is going to be increasing. However, we have a number of responses to this. First of all, we have two studies saying that the aptitude test from when you go into college and when you graduate has not actually increased, but specifically actually to getting jobs. The 25% of people, as you cross-apply in my case, are not prepared when they actually go to college. That's only like setting them up for failure on the individual basis, but also they're not going to be actually increasing this GDP growth. And also, then they go on to talk about how people are less likely to be employed. My response to that is that you're not looking in the status quo. In the recession, actually, you see a completely different situation here. So basically, my first response to that is that there's a 19% wage loss for people with a college education versus only 4.7% with a high school education. The logic behind that is the simply fact that in our shifting economy, blue-collar jobs are more important. These white-collar jobs are not as durable. They're not lasting. My second response is this is actually going to last because in the status quo, people who are graduating right now are actually going to face a long-term unemployment, and they basically miss their chance to hop on the ride. They're not going to be increasing. But then my opponents actually go on to talk about non-graduates. And you completely turn this because they're basically mitigating the harms that you get from not going to college. They're saying non-college graduates' wage increases. That's great. You don't have to go to college to get higher wages. But also let's talk about their wage differential point like in totality and the fundamental distinction they say people who have graduated from college have better intelligence. However, they're not actually proving a causal link to intelligence. In fact, we prove the exact opposite. We say that a rise of one letter grade in the high school GPA from C to B is associated with a 13% increase of gains at the age of 28. That is almost exactly the same as my opponents give you, the same statistics. We're proving alternate causality there. But the National Bureau of Economic Research actually furthers this, saying that students who were accepted into an elite school but chose the less selective school made the same amount of money. So further, you're not actually seeing any impacts there. I already talked about the recession, the opportunity cost, and my final distinction of why the wage differential point has to fall in today's round is specifically because it all depends on people actually graduating from college. But what you're seeing here, cross-applied in my case, that only 56% of people are graduating and 8.8% default after 2 years. So with that, let's actually go to the next contention where they talk about macroeconomic benefits. So first of all, they bring up the source about 60% of the jobs that are going to require college. However, that actually, their own study itself says that 60% is not going to be achieved. Yes, it is needed, but college, as it is right now, cannot achieve it, so that the point falls. The 85% of GDP, you cross-apply because things are not increasing. But however, I have actually two huge terms in today's round. First of which is the American Institute of Research actually said that the dropouts every year cost $1 billion. Second of all, the college debt bubble is the biggest point in today's round. You actually look at our whole case holistically, it lends itself right there to the college debt bubble. That can lead to $1 trillion of impacts. That's the hugest impact. But finally, international benefits. They're not taking into account international. In Africa, there's actually a huge opportunity cost of taking higher education over primary education, which is the prerequisite to all education. It actually lowers GDP by 3.3%. But so finally, they talk about STEM jobs. Simply cross-apply that. We're saying most people don't get STEM jobs, and it actually does not need college education. Only 7 out of 30 need college. And finally, social mobility. We tell you that actually rich people have a fundamental advantage in this in today's debate because we're telling you that they have a better chance of applying to college. They know the rules better, and so basically it's perpetuating income inequality. So completely turn that. Now we talk about crime, and basically their own study that they use is only about high school. It has nothing to do with college. Recidivism, only 1.5% of people actually get these, are actually taught, but 25% of them are in for life anyway, so it doesn't matter if they leave college. You're not seeing any impacts. For those reasons, you must affirm. Thank you.
Can I get the first question, please?
Sure.
Okay. Everybody ready? All right.
So what's more beneficial, benefiting one individual who's college bound or benefiting one individual who's
No, actually,
college bound?
what we're still looking at in this.
I haven't even
we're
asked
looking
my
at this
question.
resolution on the
I
microeconomic.
haven't even asked my question
You
yet.
said what's more
Hold
important.
on.
That's a question.
No,
There's a
I mean,
question mark there.
okay, I mean, I didn't finish my question there.
Oh,
like, if
okay.
you're going to interrupt me, there's no point to this crossfire.
Please
so
finish.
can you let me finish, please? Okay, so what's more beneficial, benefiting one individual or 100 individuals?
Benefiting proving that the one individual can manifest
So it's-
itself to the entire population.
So how can one individual have benefits to over 100 people? It doesn't make
Wait,
logical
what?
sense. I'm saying, is it better to
No,
benefit
we're-
100 people or one person?
You have to look at this resolution in a metaphorical context, meaning that we're looking at the
Why?
entire society. However, we're looking at averages and we're looking at the
How are
micro.
you, okay, so if we're looking
at
to the
micro
entire
scale.
society,
We're
we
not
should look to
just-
societal impacts, right?
Okay, so under your framework, basically, I can take 100 college dropouts, ask them if college benefited themselves.
No, that's not what
we're
I'm
not
trying to
looking at
say.
that.
I'm trying to say that under my framework, if we have a benefit that benefits everybody in society, that's going to outweigh impacts of just
And if
benefiting
we're
one
telling
person
you that
going
the
to
debt bubble
college.
costs $1 trillion, you completely turn that. Now I have another question
no,
for you.
that's-
I have a question for
okay,
you. So you talk
go
about
ahead.
health, basically, and how
Yeah.
people, and your only warrant is how people learn things, right?
Health literacy and actually understanding the
Are you
medical
aware that the
bureaucratic
Yale,
system.
Duke, Berkeley, and the United States Department of Health all say that all these therapeutic and preventive measures are all learned in high school, nothing's
I
learned
mean,
in
what
college?
we see is that when you go to college, it's just going to advance that. Well, like just because you're saying
Wait,
that it's all learned
so
in college
if
doesn't
you
mean
are a
it's hold on,
humanities
I've been-
major, you're gonna be
can I
learning about
finish,
health?
please? Like you're not. First of all, you're not letting me finish my questions. You're not letting me finish my responses.
Sure.
So what I'm trying to say is that just because high school also teaches you how to all the warrants we're telling you, doesn't mean that college doesn't teach you those warrants, right?
Wait, no, it does. Well, first of all, like if high school teaches it, there's no reason why any of your impacts are going to materialize.
Okay.
But second of all, there is a reason. If you're a
No,
humanities major, you're not going to be learning about health in your class,
No,
right?
because we're
or
saying,
if you
no, we're
do,
saying,
college
no, we're
obviously
saying
isn't that
college
good
on
of
the
a cost,
whole,
right?
college on the
Because
whole.
you shouldn't be
allow-
learning
hold
about
on.
health
We're trying-
when
no,
you're
we're-
learning about
no,
humanities.
No, we're trying to say that college on the whole increases your health literacy. We give you that warrant. Not
But
gonna
you don't give me any warrant as to
No,
why college
that is our
specific.
warrant.
Now
Any
let's talk
college
about
education.
crime,
No, hold on.
okay?
Can I get a question, please? Okay,
Sure.
so you respond to our Georgetown study saying that it can't be achieved, meaning there's going to be a
That's
shortage.
correct.
Doesn't a shortage just prove that every college graduate is going to be employed in their appropriate job?
No, simply what I was saying.
No,
no,
there's
no.
a-
Wait,
there's a
obviously
shortage,
you know
right?
that that's not true in the real world. Like,
I know you just told me that they're not going to be able to fulfill the gap. That means that every college graduate is going to be employed in their appropriate job.
no, what I'm saying is the impact for what the 68% of jobs are going to require, which first of all, I'll respond to that after I finish this. It's not going to be achieved because there's 3 million people.
No,
Now
you
let's look
said
at
that you said
60%
no.
of
You said
people.
that the
So
gap
wait,
is. You said that demand is not going to be achieved. If demand is not going to be achieved, that means that everybody who's being a part of that demand is going to be in an
that's not what
appropriate
they
college
said.
graduate
First of
job.
all, if you want to
That's
argue
your
with the
response.
methodology, look at your own source.
I mean, yeah,
But,
that's
okay.
he finds that that's exactly what you said. That's your response. I'm just telling you how that's a benefit to vote for us.
Okay, well, I have another question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so basically, if you were telling you that when people go to college, they have a 30% chance of getting a job that requires that degree, how is that beneficial?
Wait, hold on. Can you are you talking about underemployment here? Or like, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, like
okay.
they're not
I
they're
didn't
top
fully hear you.
malemployment.
Yeah, okay, malemployment. So what I'm trying to tell you is that even if you're underemployed, you're still going to
That's
get a
great
higher
question.
wage.
You have to prove to me that it's equal to the cost of college, which is $2,000
No,
an
I'm telling you that
individual.
I'm
It's not
t-
a net benefit
no, hold on.
to
Hold on.
to
First of all-
justify the
no,
cost.
First of all, I'm telling you that the average cost of college is only $2,500.
That's not true.
No,
That's
I
actually not-
mean I just read that in my rebuttal. It's
Wait,
according to
that's like-
Princeton University.
Well, I want to see
If
the,
you looked
I want to see the source because I have conflicting evidence
it's
on that
right
matter.
here. If you looked at every college. Now, do you have a question for me?
Well, I think that's time, right?
Yeah. No, there's. I got 38 seconds.
Okay,
left.
all right, sure.
Okay.
So I'll
can I
ask you another question.
Okay.
All right. So basically, if I'm telling you that like the American Institute of Research says that the dropouts, which is only almost about 50%,
Okay, hold on.
costs our government
You're
$1
going to see that
billion
dropouts
a
is
year.
a reason to vote for us. In fact, if you look to the American Economic Institute, they find that even if you drop out from college, you still get 7.6% higher wages, as well as the Georgetown study finds that on average, if you drop out, you still get an average increase in 436,000 increase in lifetime
That's actually
earnings.
not true. Cross apply to my case when I tell you the exact
No, I
opposite.
just
You
gave
make
you a study here.
7.7% more money
No,
if you don't go to
That's
college.
assuming that high school people actually get the job. At the point where when you go to college,
They
you're
do get
guaranteed the
and they get
job, you're going to
4
be getting the
they
wage.
get 4 years of experience.
No,
where they actually are
extend
on-
the 4 times statistic. That completely answers what you just said. There's
Okay,
no
can
cost.
I'll
to
just finally respond. You have to take into account the recession. That's the status quo.
it. Okay. You still looking at that?
Yeah, I'll look at it.
Opponents ready? All 5 judges? Aneesh? There are 3 main reasons as to why you should be voting negative in today's debate: the economic benefits, the societal benefits, and social mobility. But let's first talk about how you should be evaluating today's debate. The reason you prefer our warrants over their metaphorical framework is because our framework is looking to the broadest impacts on society. We're accounting for not only the individuals who go to college themselves, but also the externalities on other individuals. With that, let's first look at the economic point. Remember that we're always going to be outweighing debt and underemployment for 3 main reasons. First, it's always better to have a job than to have no job at all with some debt. So specifically, we're going to outweigh because college graduates are 4 times less likely to be unemployed. But second, Obama is going to recover the debt. None of their debt impacts are going to happen. And third of all, we're still seeing earnings increases, so they're able to pay off the debt. With that, let's look specifically to his responses. He talks about aptitude tests, but he doesn't tell you why aptitude tests are a good indicator of productivity. While we specifically tell you that according to FANG, there's a 40% increase in productivity, you can extend that straight across the flow. He talks about the recession, but according to the BLS, the most recent estimates say that unemployment rates for college graduates are only 4.1%. That's substantially lower. Now, let's look specifically to the impacts on the economy. We're seeing a 40% increase in productivity again, which is leading to macroeconomic benefits. And additionally, you can extend the Trey's evidence, which specifically indicates that for every $1 invested in college education, you get $27 in economic return. That's the biggest cost-benefit analysis in today's debate. You can vote off of that alone. But additionally, look specifically to STEM jobs. They tell you that most people don't get the job, but any STEM job can only come from college education. That's the benefit of college education. It's creating half of our economic growth. With that, the second key issue is going to be that of society. On health, they never respond to the warrants. More college education means more health literacy, which is increasing life expectancy by 7 years. Insofar as all their impacts are talking about how they're decreasing the quality of life, we're going to be outweighing because we're extending human life. And finally, on social mobility, remember that outweighs debt because the opportunities exist for free college education, which provides social mobility, and we're decreasing poverty, the risk of poverty, by 39%. And for all these reasons, we urge you to negate.
All right, opponents ready? Judges ready? All right, let's go over the framework. Number 1, you have to see that their harms are inherent to the system. Everybody, the average person is going to pay for college, so all of our harms go through. Whereas their benefits are only very unlikely because only 56% of people actually graduate from college. The reason why you're prioritizing individuals over societal is because you need those individual benefits to coalesce into society. So initially, you need the individuals. That's why you're prioritizing it. Number 1, look at economy. They talk about economic growth. However, they assume that the human capital is actually increasing. Human capital means people are actually getting intelligent and learning things. If their intelligence and IQ scores are remaining the same before and after college, that means absolutely nothing. You're not increasing human capital. 75% of people who go into college are completely not ready. That's why there's such a huge dropout rate. Next, look at macroeconomics. In the context of in the economy right now, there are more blue-collar jobs that are needed. 7 out of 35 of the fastest-growing jobs right now require college education. The rest don't. That tells you right there that more blue-collar jobs are needed. But more importantly, Chicago tells you right now when people in the industries get stuck after going into college, get into industries, they're stuck in these industries with low-paying jobs because what these new industries want are new people from college coming in. So at the end of the day, when you go into this status quo right now in the economy, you're stuck in the system and it's absolutely harmful. Next, look at some STEM jobs. Only 1/3 of the people who go into STEM fields actually finish college with that, and 8 out of 9 of those people don't go into STEM fields. So at the end of the day, you're not producing those STEM field people, so you can view that as an impact in this round. Next, look at crime. They only talk about high school kids. Their specific studies has nothing to do with college whatsoever. And when you look at the recidivism in prisons, only 1.5% of the population is attracted. 25% of those people are in there for life, so you don't see any of their benefits falling through. White crime is only increasing. It affects 46.5% of the people. Finally, look at health. Look, the things you learn about health you learn in high school. When you're taking a STEM job, you're not going to learn about pregnancy and other things about health. All of those things are learned in high school. So there's no link whatsoever in their entire case about that. Now look at what we tell you. The average cost of a college education is $18,000. Right there, you're going to have defaults and increases in credit score. When you increase your credit score and you're trying to get these jobs, they talk about you're restricting yourself because of the loans you have to pay for over 20 years. So altogether, college is actually hurting yourself in the long run. The opportunity cost. Apprenticeship. You're missing out years of experience where you can earn more, whereas you're going to college and you're just going to earn less. That's why 7.2% of people with AAs earn less than people without a degree at all. For these reasons, we urge a pro ballot.
Are these mics working? All right, cool. Is everyone ready? Do you mind if we have the first question?
Sure.
All right. What do IQ tests and aptitude tests measure?
Okay, so basically, what's your logical warrant behind human capital to begin with?
You just answer my
'Cause that's
question
like the
with
crux of
another
your
question. Can you answer my original question?
They
What do
measure
IQ tests
if
and
you have
aptitude tests
become an
measure?
increasingly valuable person to society.
Wait. Can you answer my question? What do IQ tests and aptitude tests measure?
How smart you are.
How smart you are in terms of what?
Human capital.
In
If
terms
you've gained anything
wait,
from
wait,
the college
so,
experience.
So
the
somehow
specific-
me
like-
taking an IQ test is going to measure how productive I
the
am?
specific tests
That's
we're
not
talking
at all
about
true.
are-
What IQ tests and aptitude tests measure is logic and inherent,
It's not just
inherent
aptitude tests.
intelligence.
Sorry.
What we're showing you specifically is that college education is providing
Can I just respond,
specialized
please?
knowledge where you can apply those skills that are measured in
Can I
IQ
just respond?
tests.
Actually, they were administered specifically on a major by major basis, specifically to the ones that can contribute most to the economic GDP.
So what's the
entire
correlation
human
between-
capital argument is dependent on people being more valuable to society.
What's the correlation between
let's-
aptitude tests and
all right.
productivity?
Let's look at the jobs you're talking about. You talk about STEM jobs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only 1/3 of the people who initially get into STEM jobs carry through with it.
And
Out of
only-
those
Hold on,
1/3,
hold on.
8 out of 9
Rishi,
people take
hold on,
non-STEM jobs.
hold
They're
on.
not filling out
What
the
we see,
63%
what we
of
see
the
is that
even if
even
you
if
are
people
giving
aren't
a
going to those
societal
jobs,
benefit-
just hold on there.
Sure.
Even if people aren't going to those jobs, what we see is that even if it's a minority of those college graduates, they still make half of our economic growth.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be the biggest
Okay, so
sector,
wait,
but
let
you
me
can
just- let
only
me
get
just
that
respond
benefit
to
from
that.
college.
No,
Let me
wait,
respond to
wait,
that.
wait.
Right? So even if it happens to be good for society, which we're telling you that only 7 out of 30 of like the most like the fastest growing technological
Okay,
jobs.
did that study
even if it
specifically
is,
rank those jobs? Because what if it's the top 7 jobs
I mean,
require
we're
college
looking at a
education
holistic
and the
basis.
rest of them don't?
No, but okay, even if it's good for society, like what happens for the like almost 90% of people who aren't doing STEM jobs? Are you just telling me that like they have absolutely no benefit and
No,
they should
'cause
just
we're
go to
showing
college
you
to help society
specifically-
when they're going to like
I mean,
be
Joey,
worse
if you allow
off
us to
afterwards?
answer your question, we're showing you specifically that one, even if it's a minority of graduates, it's still creating half of our economic growth.
No, but
but
you're
two,
not-
even if
Okay.
you let me explain, but
Sure.
two, even if they're underemployed, they're one receiving higher wages and two higher productivity.
Okay.
So even underemployed
my
graduates are
response to that
benefiting
is you're not
society.
providing any solvency as to why people should go to college and graduate if they're not
So
majoring
can I
in
get
STEM
can I get a
fields.
quick question in about like this whole societal versus individual thing? What is the average individual?
Wait, what do you mean?
Can
They're
you
not in a
describe,
STEM job.
Who is the average individual?
Wait, in terms of what like characteristics?
Like
Individual. I'm asking who
in,
is
in
the
a
average
major by
individual?
major basis. That's
So-
what we're
So
talking
it's
about.
by
The
major
average
basis,
person
so
has
we
an
can't
$18,000
make
gap.
generalizations
So-
about the average
So
individual.
what Anuj and I say is let's look to everybody, which is society, because you can't just pick and choose who you want to look to. If you
No.
look to
We're
everybody,
saying
you
it's
can
a
evaluate
cause
cost and
benefit, or
benefits.
no, sorry, a cause and effect relationship. Would you agree that the entire debate today is dependent on people going to college?
Sure.
So
but
if
we're talking
people
about externalities
should
here,
not
too.
go to college in the ideal framework that we present,
No, we're showing
you're
you that
not
people
getting
should
any
go
of your
to
impact.
college.
If
I
it's
mean,
benefit-
Joey, you're making this too complicated for no reason. We're showing you that people should go to college because they're not only benefiting themselves,
Okay,
but
so
they're
how are they-
benefiting those around
We're
them.
just saying you should
I mean, if it
prioritize
benefits society.
individuality.
How are they
that's all
benefiting
we're saying.
themselves if you make more money if you don't go to college?
If that's time, but if you want me to answer it. Opponents ready? Partner ready? And my 5 judges. Again, I'll be starting on framework. Judges, remember that you have to look to societal impacts because that includes not only these college graduates, but everybody in society. Remember, they can't even tell you who the average individual is. You have to look to everybody because you can't just pick and choose who you want to in this debate run. You have to look to everybody. You have to look to positive and negative externalities on society to truly evaluate the costs and benefits of a college education. With that, you have to evaluate societal impacts over everything else. Now let's go to why you're going to be voting for us. First off, their case alone. At the end of the day, the only impacts they have going for them is debt, underemployment, and this apprenticeship opportunity costing. But these are actually reasons to vote for us. First, on debt, we show you specifically that it's better to have have a job and have some debt than have absolutely no job at all. Extend the 4-time statistic. They never answer that. Even if you want to look to the most recent data in December 2011, Anuj cites in the summary, which shows you that they only have an underemployment rate of 4.1%. That's including the recession. At that point, you're going to see that it's better to go to college, even if you have some debt, because you actually get a job. For underemployment, remember that you still get higher wages. So on net, so you're going to see that there's actually no negative harm. For dropouts, remember, you still get 436,000 increase in lifetime earnings. They never answer that as well. That's another reason to vote for us. And finally, on apprenticeship, remember, they did never respond to the fact that we have career colleges, which not only provide on-the-job training, but also college degrees on the whole, which account for 36.8 billion in terms of economic output every year. So at that point, it's going to be outweighing any opportunity they can give you. But also, the only thing that's going to outweigh their entire case is a Georgetown study, which tells you that by 2018, where demand is going to outpace supply by 300,000 jobs. Their only response is we won't fulfill that demand. Turn this against it. That means that every college graduate is going to be employed in their actual appropriate job. Now let's look to why you vote for us. First, on in terms of the economy, we show you that there's a 40% increase in productivity because you learn how to do your job in college. Remember, our impact is first on STEM. Even if people aren't going in a STEM job, it still accounts for half of our economic growth. You can only get that from college. They can't show you a cost higher than that in the half of our economic growth. But also extend the 1 in 27 comparison that you can vote off this alone because it's a direct cost-benefit analysis, which says for every dollar you put into higher education, you get $27 of output. Finally, on social mobility, remember that we show you specifically that as long as the opportunity agrees where you can get college for free, that's gonna be the biggest impact for social mobility because you can reduce for each additional year in college, you get specifically a 39% decrease in the risk of poverty. Their only response is costs are too high, but we show you that cost is free. At that point, they never responded. You can also vote on that alone as it affects our society.
Everyone ready? Let's look at why you're going to vote for us. First of all, we're telling you that there's a cause and effect relationship that determines today's round, determines all of their social impacts. We're telling you that hypothetically, it is not good for a person to go to college. You're not achieving any of their benefits. And this necessitates a probability analysis. They never take this into account in today's round. We're not just comparing comparing impacts. We're saying that specifically, college actually prevents their benefits from happening. And that's number one. Number two, the probability actually prevents these impacts from occurring. So that's what you have to take into account, not just sheer impacts in today's round. And with that, let's look at the first reason why you're going to vote for us, which is individual economic benefits. We completely refuted the wage premium on an individual level. We say that it's almost all accounted for by individual abilities and intelligence, has nothing to do through college. So once again, individuals should not attend. And we tell you that only 34% of people who go to college are going to get a job that actually requires it. Once again, they have absolutely no motive to go. But most importantly, they never touched our recession point. We're talking about right now in the status quo. Right now, these people cannot get jobs who are actually graduating in the recession. Once it's over, they're actually going to hire instead the people who graduate afterwards because they like to graduate the people who are most recent. These people are never going to regain that lost opportunity. They can't climb up the job ladder, the social mobility ladder my opponents try to propose. All these impacts have to flow to the pro side in today's round. But let's actually look to the opportunity cost, which they never respond, the 88% of institutions, and the apprenticeships. And finally, let's look at debt. They say that it's malemployment is better than underemployment, not unless it actually justifies the cost of $200,000. And finally, the debt, we're telling you that it's once again a cost relationship. If 8.8% of people default, they're not achieving any of these benefits. But finally, let's look at societal economic impacts. The biggest point in today's round, which they never refute, is the debt bubble. You look at a conglomeration of our entire case as a $1 trillion impact. They never respond to it. Also, they never respond to our international benefits from Africa. There's a huge opportunity cost from attending primary college, which is the prerequisite to international growth in countries that aren't like America. So also their societal impacts were only high school, including health and college. So for all these reasons, because for the average individual, the impacts that are going to happen are better than improbable impacts. That's the reason why you vote for pro. Thank you.